Welcome back. Today we're going to tie one of the all-time classics. We're going to go with Bob Clouser's Clouser Minnow. This thing started out, in Pennsylvania when Bob designed it, mainly for smallmouth on the Susquehanna and surrounding rivers, probably the Juniata and a few others. But it has taken off, and there's not a species of fish that this won't catch. It's just that good of a fly. Any color combination that you want. There's so many variations of it, which speaks to its popularity. There's marabou in them. I've seen craft fur. Creole X is an offshoot of the Clouser Minnow. The original, the standard Bucktail. I've seen with peacock in them and all sorts of different stuff. But we're gonna stick with the basics as it was designed today. And this is a size 4, MFC 7008. It's a 4X long down eye hook. I just want to get a thread base down here and get this in place. Just decent thread base. I'm not getting too carried away. I just want enough thread down there to where the bucktail's not going to slip around on me or anything. And then typically when you see most of the flies out there today, when you see the placement of the lead eyes, they're a little bit more toward the front. We're going to back these ones up just a little bit, and it's going to be on probably the front quarter to the front third of this fly. And the eyes are also going to be on the top of the hook, not the back or not the bottom like we typically tie them nowadays. Let me get that back just a little bit more. And what this does, keeping these on the top, one, your hook is going to ride with the hook point facing up. And two, by having these eyes back a little bit further, what this does is it takes away from the jigging motion so much to where it's not going to be more of an up and down. It was designed to be fished and swam laterally. So with these eyes back a little bit, it reduces the tendency for that fly to want to take a nosedive. So with it back like this, like I said, it's going to go more laterally in the water. We've got our eyes sitting on the top here. Not really completely secured just yet. I just want to throw some zap on these. I can see from that view that they're off a little bit as well. Get some zap on here. Make sure that those things are centered up on the top there. That looks good. Now I just want to get a couple of wraps through here and then go right around these eyes, and everything's secure. So now what we're going to do, we've got our eyes sitting in place, and you can come back even a little bit further if you want. I like where those are sitting right there. It's going to give me enough to make a nice head on the front. With the thread wraps and everything. But what we're going to do now is go into our first piece of bucktail, and I'm going to do the white section. Now remember that your fly is going to ride inverted as it sits in the vise, so your hook point is going to be facing up. So what we're tying on this top portion is actually going to be the belly of the fly. So we're going to put our white in there. I just want to even these tips up a little bit. If you want to, you can throw them in a stacker and do it that way. I don't necessarily want to stack them. I just want these somewhat even. Get rid of some of the excess right there. And then I'll measure this out. I'm going to go about, let's say 1.5 times the overall length of my hook. So right about like that is where I'm going to have this measured out. And then I'm going to take and cut this in an angle. There you can see right there the angle that I have on that. And I just want to set that right behind my eyes. Make sure that they're nice and even. Sitting right on the top. And then I'm just going to work my way to the back. I'm probably going to go about to my hook point, and that's where I'm going to tie off, and then I have the rest of that tail sticking out the back. So then I'm just going to make some nice wraps over top of this. Just even this out really nice. I'm not getting too carried away with the spacing on the wraps and all of that. End of the spool. End of the spool. Get that one off to the side. Oh, let me find another one here. I think that's 100. It might be a 2. Either way, it'll be alright. So I'm just going to restart my thread here, get that where I want it, and then bring these back around on the other side of my eyes. And I just want to tie in a little Krystal flash on this one. I'm going to take black, just a little break up. It's going to make a nice little lateral line between my olive and white. And I'm going to take, I don't know, 6 to 8 strands, somewhere about that. I'm going to see how I like it once it's on the vise, or once it's on the hook. Just cut that little portion off. And then I'm going to bring this back. I want it stopping just short of the length of my white bucktail there. And I'm going to do these on the top portion, but canted toward me on this side, and then just the opposite on the other side. Just canted off to the camera side slightly. So now we have these going through there. You can see that we've got that little bit of a color breakup between the white and the black. I'm just going to make a few wraps over the top of this, just to kind of ease that a little bit, clean that up slightly, and then we're going to tie in our olive. So I go a little bit more sparse on the belly section. When I tie the top section of the fly, I use a little bit more material. So I'm just going to pick this out. You'll be able to see about what I'm starting with right there. And I just want to take this, give that a quick trim. This is a superior bucktail right here. Compared to what I had with the white was, well, not the best quality in the world, but we'll work with it. You'll see how this is so much more even and lined out right there, and there's just so much more material as well. So now, what I want to do is I want this just slightly longer than the white that I have in there, and I mean just slightly longer. You can see there's a couple of fibers just going past that white. I have that marked out where I want it. Clean out some of those excess fibers, and then same thing, we're just going to take and cut this at an angle right like so. Clean up 1 or 2 of those, and then I'm going to set this on the underneath side here, capture my first good wrap, and I'm going to butt that right up against the eyes. As I work my way forward, that hair is going to flare out slightly, and before I get to the front of that, I just want to cut a little bit of that out. Some of them are going to be a little bit long. There we go. And then all I'm doing is just working this down as I go to the front. Just working over those fibers. It's going to have a little cone shape at the front. It's going to have a little taper for the nose. And we'll get just a couple more wraps in here. Now I want to pull this down. And if you want to use a different color, if you wanted to go with an olive on this, by all means you could. You can color it up with a marker, whatever you decide to do. You know, like I said at the beginning of this video, the color combinations are just about endless as to what you can do with this pattern. There's a few there that I may wind up trimming out, but we'll see. The color combinations are just about endless on this. Whatever you want to do. If you want to do it three-toned, on the bucktail, by all means you absolutely can. Let me get this out of the vise. I'm going to work these fibers around that hook a little bit better. And then we'll get that back in the vise. And there you have your Clouser Minnow. Like I said, this is a pattern that will catch fish in any body of water anywhere in the world. It's really that good. It's that versatile. It's been around for years. I can't remember exactly when. I want to say 30 plus years. This thing's been around. I'd have to take a look at the. I'd have to take a look at the book there and see exactly when this thing was designed. But I want to say it was over 30 years ago. Gosh, it might be even closer to 40. Come to think of it. But still catching fish today. Still replicated. Still people taking the original design and, you know, adding their own flair to it, their own materials, so on and so forth. But if you guys have questions or comments, we'll give this one more spin right there just to get another look at it. And like I was saying, if you want to, you can take and color these up a little bit. This is how your fly is going to be riding with the eyes on the top of the hook. It's going to be sitting like so. This is how your fly is going to be in the water. And if you want, you could take and color up this top portion, throw some olive on the thread, or you can do it all olive if you want to cover up the white on the nose on that one. That's entirely up to you. We're going to leave this one as it sits. Once again, that is Bob Clouser's Clouser Minnow. If you guys have questions or comments, leave them with me and I'll get back to you. But thanks as always, and we'll catch you next week.